Good morning. Good morning, Tamara and Craig. We are here with Mesquite today, and it is Monday. Let me adjust my camera here because I can't get the picture here. Okay, it is Monday, April 19th, and we're here today with Tamara Binder and Craig Peterson. And Tamara, over the last 13 years, has been a member of 5 different clubs. She has helped to chart the talk of the town club in Dubuque, Iowa,
Yes.
and has served in every officer position in her various clubs. Tamara also served as the Area 91 governor during the 2013 and 14 Toastmaster year. In 2016, she earned her DMT, Distinguished Toastmasters designation, the highest award in Toastmasters education. And currently, Tamara is serving as the president of the Mesquite Silver Tongue Toastmasters Club number 7801 for the 2020-21 year. Good morning, Tamara. How are you?
Very good, Terry. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate that.
And we have with us Craig Peterson. Greg is also a fellow Toastmaster. He has earned the distinguished position as he's one step away. He's close to being there.
Probably a step or two, that's for sure.
Craig is also a member of Mesquite Rotary, and that is the morning club that he has been a member with for a while now. And today, Craig and Tamara are going to tell us all about their clubs, what they do, and some of the work that they plan on doing together. So I'm going to ask you first, Tamara, why are you a Toastmaster?
Well, Toastmasters actually changed the trajectory of my career. I've always been a very introverted, very quiet person, very analytical in my thought process. And even though I worked really hard and put in a lot of overtime, I never could make a difference in my career. By a couple of odd circumstances, I became the team lead for the credit analyst team. I was working for US Bank at the time, and one of my responsibilities was to run the weekly credit meeting. And I'm organized, I'm prepared. The day before, I'd print out all my reports. I would go through and highlight, and I'd make notes and write out my questions in detail. I'd put my agenda together, and I was ready to rock that meeting. But the next day, I'd come into the office, and I'd pick up that stack of reports, and I could feel my heart start to beat in it. And I would step out of my office, and it would beat a little louder. And with every step towards that conference room, my heart, I could literally see my shirt moving back and forth. And I'd walk into the conference room, and my mouth would dry up. And it was just like I was speaking with dust flying out of my mouth. And I was sweating, and I was sweating so bad that water was dripping off my elbows. And I touched my agenda and smeared the ink. And I think, I got to learn how to laminate. After about the 3rd or 4th failed meeting, I just couldn't do it when I started. Somebody came up to me, one of my senior people, and he literally said, "Tamara, you suck. Go to Toastmasters." And although his delivery may not have been perfect, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Going to Toastmasters taught me how to be the focal point of attention for a little bit. It taught me how to communicate. It taught me how to listen to people. It made a difference. And I went from being a team lead to having a region of salespeople under me at the end of my career. So it changed the trajectory of my career and gave me so much self-confidence. And I want to pass that on to young people coming into Toastmasters and help them have a life-changing experience just like I did. I can't hear you, Terry.
I said that's what probably makes you such an awesome president. Your excitement, enthusiasm, and what it's done for you. So, Craig, why are you a Rotarian?
Well, it started out simple enough many years ago. I was in retail sales business. I spent almost 40 years in the truck and automobile business, running and managing automobile dealerships. And during that time, I would participate in networking groups of different kinds and help, build, our business and, and such. I was invited to a Rotary meeting in Southern California, in San Diego, where I was, and thought this is pretty cool. And I decided to join. I really thought when I first got involved in Rotary that would be a great opportunity to just network with other business people, and of course, selfishly grow my own business. And that's what we do. As I later learned over a period of time, very short order really, in the first couple of years, that Rotary was an organization that really was built on service above self. And that means everybody pitching in a little bit, not only locally in our community, but around the world, to make it a better world, to help people that are in need of things. Anyway, I liked it. I thought it was really cool. It was different than all the other business associations that I've been part of. And I don't know, it made me feel good to go home at night, at the end of the day, after being involved in a Rotary event, as opposed to a work event, and we actually accomplished something, maybe help some kids with scholarships, or particularly maybe down building, painting somebody's house somewhere, or any number of things. And so I kind of stayed, and for a while I took some time out. My wife and I moved to Mesquite here about 3 years ago, and once again got very active in Rotary here. I currently serve as president of the Mesquite Sunrise Rotary Club. There's 2 Rotary clubs in town, by the way, for those that are familiar with Rotary. We have one that meets on Tuesdays at noon and ours on Thursday. Our club was founded in 1996, I think it was, our local club. But Rotary International, on the other hand, was founded in 1905. So, we're a big group. We do a lot of neat things in town, but we also do a lot of neat things around the world. I'm part of Rotary because I love it. I like being part of it. I like being part of something bigger than me. And that's much bigger than me.
Yeah. So Tamara, Craig's told us a little bit about what Rotary is and what they do. We'll go a little bit more into it, but can you tell us a little bit about what is Toastmasters? How did they get started?
Well, Toastmasters' motto is where leaders are made. Toastmasters actually originated in 1924 in Santa Ana, California, and our founder, Ralph Smedley, working for the YMCA, he wanted to develop leadership skills in the young men under his charge. And so he really believed to be a great leader, you had to have great communication skills. And it's not just your oral communication skills, but your listening skills. And that's what he set out to do, is help these young men develop great listening and communication skills so that they could go out and be great leaders. And that's what Toastmasters is really about. We practice short speeches. If you look at a Toastmasters meeting, there's basically 3 different areas. There's the prepared speeches, which are 5 to 7 minutes. There's impromptu speaking, where someone who is the table topics master will ask each individual a random question, and then you have to come up with a 1 to 2 minute answer off the top of your head. It helps keep the brain sharp. And then there's the feedback portion. In the local club, we don't give feedback on table topics, but in a lot of clubs they do. They give evaluations of your table topics as well. But the evaluations is really where you get those tips and hints on how you can improve your communication skills. But that's what we're about, is creating great leaders. And it's just a very slow drip, drip, drip method. It's self-paced and it's very inexpensive. It's less than $100 a year.
Wow. Yeah. And I'm familiar with that. So it really is worth it. And you can pay every 6 months, correct?
Yes. Yes. Usually we collect dues every 6 months. It's about $50 every 6 months.
Okay. Plus the $3 local fee.
Yes. International dues are $47. And then we charge $3 for our local club, just, to pay for advertising or whatever, mailing list or whatever we want to do.
Okay. So Craig, I'm going to ask you, I know Tamara is going to talk a little bit about it, but What is the one thing in Toastmasters that has helped you as a Rotarian? And especially now, you said you're president of the morning club now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, congratulations. That must be, did you just have a change of officers recently?
Well, to answer your question, Toastmasters and me. I became a member of Toastmasters a little bit over a year ago, not long after Rotary and Toastmasters kind of combined forces and have become married in a sense. We're one big group, two big organizations. I didn't really know what Toastmasters would do for me. I was familiar with it, for years. I never even attended a Toastmasters meeting, nor did I think I ever needed it. I have found in organizing as president of a Rotary Club, and in addition, by the way, I'm an area director for a company called Legalship. I've been with them for 22 years. So in organizing those get-togethers, meetings, and agendas that I have to do, Toastmasters has clarified things for me. That it's helped me. It's helped me organize my planning of events. It's helped me keep things on schedule, be more focused, much more clearer in my delivery when I'm communicating with people, and to learn to even listen better. It isn't just about speaking, but it's also learning to listen better. And Toastmasters is phenomenal education in that regard. And I've always had an interest in becoming a better at self-improvement. So it fits right into my thinking process and my feeling. I find Toastmasters to be quite rewarding and very extremely helpful. And especially if you're going to be running a business organization and you have either employees or volunteers, and just to be able to communicate back and forth and keep things on track. It's amazing skills I'm learning. So yeah, I dig it. It's good.
Tamara, can you tell our audience a little bit about the support that they can expect from the Toastmasters meetings?
There's multiple sources. There's multiple resources in Toastmasters. One of our education programs is called Pathways, and you can go online. It's totally online for the people who are really electronically tuned in, and they can read all the manuals, everything online. But we also have what we call a mentoring program, where one of the more experienced members may work with you one-on-one to help you find those resources, help you put together the speeches. You get support within the meetings as well by getting evaluations from different club members each week so that you have a different perspective. And the evaluations don't only help the speaker, but they also help the other people in the audience when they hear tips about gestures, when they hear tips about, how to eliminate the ums and ahs in your speaking patterns, how to put a speech together. And that's one of the amazing things I found in Toastmasters was my writing. I had a mentor that helped me with my writing because that was one of my weak areas. As my left side of my brain works well, but the other side where the writing comes from, the artistic side, has always been a little bit less developed. And I had a mentor for my writing. So Toastmasters is great support through the individual connections, online resources. There's dozens of online resources at Toastmasters International. And with Zoom, one of the great things I found is that you can connect with members from all over the world. And I have visited several clubs just through Zoom and connected with a few mentors that way as well. So there's a lot of resources. You just have to reach out and ask. And we will sign you up if you want.
I'm asking both of you. Tamara mentioned counting the ums. I have found myself, since being a Toastmaster, which I've only been for this past year, I find myself watching other programs or other people's videos and counting their ums all the time. Do you do that too?
It becomes a terrible habit. Watch Martha Stewart. If you want to be driven crazy, watch Martha Stewart. I'm just like,
Oh my God. Is she really bad with it?
Oh, at least the one show, and I don't watch her a lot, but the one show I saw, she was, I think I stopped at 100 and I was just like, how is she on TV? But obviously she has talents in other areas that helps her move forward.
Well, she certainly got the money that helps her buy her way over the talent. So one of the two, either way, it works for her. Craig, I'm going to come to you for a minute. What has been your favorite project with the Rotary in Mesquite?
Favorite one in Mesquite? Well, there's a couple of them actually. One, for those who are residents of Mesquite are probably familiar with, each year there's a book sale over at the library. Except for this year of COVID, we've had had to postpone things. And what we do in Rotary is we raise money to help support a Mesquite Reads program, which is sponsored by the Eureka Casino here. Now, the Mesquite Reads program has been developed to provide reading and teaching and helping kids in the summertime to help young kids in the elementary school age, so that they enter the next year again able to communicate and read better and get ahead, and where they might not be fully up to speed when they get out of the fourth grade, when they're going into the fifth grade, they go to summer school, and so Mesquite Reads has been involved in that for a long time. So it's one of my favorite projects because we gather up books from all over the community and then we put them together and sell them in front of the library every year and raise money for that. That's been a really fun program. Locally, we've done a lot of things in conjunction with our Noon Club. One of the fun ones we did recently together was at Beaver Dam High School. We built some shade structures for the kids out there, for the summer, installed all those. And in conjunction with the past president of the Noon Club and myself, we were able to get backpacks for all those kids, some services out of Phoenix, and distribute them to all the kids out there. So some of those things are really great. One of my most favorite things was, of course, being involved with the Red Cross and our club and the Noon Club. But Rotary and the Red Cross about a year ago, we zoomed all over Bunkerville and Mesquite and Scenic and rode around and went to people's mobile homes and helped them with their smoke detectors and alarms, put in batteries and install alarms. There's so many people that live in the outlying areas, or even right here in town, that aren't able to step on a ladder and put a battery in their smoke alarm, and it's been sitting there beeping for 10 years, and it's unsafe. And that was such a rewarding day, however. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the people, particularly those that were challenged in wheelchairs and maybe bedridden, to be able to go into their homes and help them with something that was so important. And it was neat because it wasn't just Rotary. It was Rotary combined with the Red Cross out of Las Vegas, and of course the Noon Club. And those are the kind of projects that, on a personal level, I really, really, really enjoy. Again, it's service beyond self, and it's working with other people, and everybody throwing in a little bit of time, a little bit of effort to get so much done.
There really are a lot of elderly people, a lot of disabled people who do need help. Was that a program that they had to sign up for ahead of time, obviously, for you to know where they were? And do they do that every year now, the Red Cross and the Rotary, or was
this? They do.
They do?
Yeah, it'll be coming up again this year.
Oh, good to know.
COVID is has put kind of a delay on many things, as we all know. Right. But those projects still remain in place. They're just postponed for some period of time.
There you go, folks. If you need the help, contact the Rotary clubs, because they're
Red Cross.
Pardon?
Or Red Cross.
Or Red Cross. But Rotary is here and it's local. So, Tamara, what besides speaking, besides helping us make better speakers of ourselves, what else does Toastmasters do for us as individuals?
Toastmasters is very much about building leadership skills. when you're working the program itself, for example, to earn your DTM, one of the things you have to do is what they call an HPL, a high performance leadership project. And with that project, you say putting together the smoke detector installation program. That would be a major project. And if that I'm the person that wants to put the project together, I would get a panel of people, and usually it's 3 to 5, who would help coach me through the process. Usually I would look for maybe Craig, who's done this project before, and I would have him on my advisory panel. During my business career, it was a great way to help develop leadership in my young people as well, as they put projects together for the team. And it works exactly the same way. You come up with your agenda and you put everything together, you do a speech about it, you would talk to the club and your mentors and say, this is my goal, is to install smoke detectors, change batteries in 300 homes during this year. This is my process. I'm going to join with the Red Cross. I'm going to do, and Craig would say, well, did you think about A? Did you think about B? How did you do that? These are the issues I ran into last year. So you're mentoring and learning that leadership skill for this project. You work through it, you give a couple of speeches, and it's a great way to build that leadership. And you're not out there just trying to stumble through. You have a manual that helps you put a project together. You have mentors that help you put the project together, and you develop those leadership skills. And you're delivering speeches at each stage. You measure it out, saying you're going to have 4 stages of the project. You'll give a speech at each end of each stage to help everybody know that you're on track, and it helps you keep on track. And then it also teaches you to reflect on what you're being told, having that open reflectiveness that leaders need, and then also helps you to reflect and learn from your progress as you move through the project itself.
Oh, so could you use Craig's speech for your project?
I don't know if I quite understand. He could use the Red Cross smoke detector project as his leadership, as his HPL, as his high performance leadership project.
But when he gives the actual speech, can it be whatever the Red Cross presents? Can he go ahead and just give their information as his own speech?
He can blend that in. Absolutely.
Okay. What about other speeches that people give in Toastmasters? Is there any qualifications for the types of speeches? Any rules, like they have to be original?
Well, they do. There's a couple of things that you need to know. There are 11 different learning paths. We call it pathways. There's 11 different learning programs within Toastmasters. Each one has a different focus. A presentation mastery, you could, like this podcast could fit into the presentation mastery, and you could get credit for doing this podcast in Toastmasters because you're developing that skill of learning to run a podcast and having guests on and all those things that come with it. There are professional speaking projects as well that in each education piece teach you to become a professional speaker. We want your speeches to be original. Plagiarizing, you know exactly what that means. If you're going to compete in Toastmasters and do the World Championship of Public Speaking, any of that, it does absolutely need to be original content. If you use somebody else's content, like referring to the Red Cross information, you do want to identify that so that you keep your own ethical standards in Toastmasters ethical standards. Is that what you were getting at?
Yeah. Yes, I was. Craig, has Toastmasters helped you develop better listening skills along the way? And if so, how?
It's definitely helped. It's definitely helped. We laugh a little bit about the oohs and the ahs and the things, but if you think about that for a second, we're listening. We're actually listening to things. So it really isn't listening to the people's mistakes and errors. It's really listening to what they're saying. You know, there's an old saying that God gave us 2 ears and one mouth for a reason. And Toastmasters just helps kind of hone that in and help you identify that that's really true. And listening really matters. Sometimes we think we have to say so many words to get somebody to listen to us, but it's amazing if we listen to people, we end up saying so much. And Toastmasters helps identify that. These topics in Toastmasters really aren't unknown to people, particularly if they're interested in developing themselves over time. But I think Toastmasters does a phenomenal job of helping organize those thoughts and to be conscious of others and your audience and careful about what comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, sometimes that's very true. You have to be a little more careful of that. One of my favorite parts of Toastmasters is that we open our meetings with a joke. There's always a joke master. And I personally love being one of those joke masters. What is your favorite part of our meetings? What's your favorite interest? You know, is it the speeches? Is it the speaking yourself? The evaluations? What part do you like the most about our meetings?
I'm going to share something that is my favorite part of Toastmasters, and it comes from all parts. It's from participating and really working the program. I've been in Toastmasters a long time, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. But when people come in and they work the program, one of my favorite people was a young man named Kyle, and he wanted to be on the sales team so bad. And he interviewed and got turned down multiple times. And I challenged him to go to Toastmasters. And he started going to Toastmasters, and I could literally see him changing right before my eyes. Every time and at the time it was a small club. We met at a comedy club, and we'd actually had a stage to stand on. But he'd take that stage and give a speech, and you could see that he was nervous and his heart was beating. When he first, but within like 3 months, I could see the change. I have one of my good friends in Toastmasters was a professional opera singer. And somewhere along the line, she got so much stage fright that she couldn't perform anymore. And she came to Toastmasters, never spoke to anyone for about 6 months. And then one day she said, I'm going to join. And she gave 10 speeches. She gave a speech every week for 10 weeks. And now she's one of the top ranking Toastmasters. You know, she's been district president. She's won speech contests at every level. And she's still teaching music. I don't believe she's ever gone back to singing, but you can literally see people change and grow. And to me, that's the exciting part. And it comes from working the program, getting the evaluations, and I just love that part of it.
So, Craig, I'm going to ask you the same question, but I'm going to add to it one of my observations. We come into meetings bright and early at 8 o'clock on Tuesday mornings. And sometimes because of COVID, because of people's vacation schedules and snowbirds, sometimes we're left with open positions. And you are always not only asked, but more than willing to accept any one of those open positions. Do you have a favorite? You've done them all. And right at this
well, I'll answer essentially the same question and the question you just asked. I'll break it up. My favorite part of Toastmasters is the table topics. I love the table topics. I like to be the host of the table topics, where I think about it for several days about the questions I'm going to ask. And on that note, I really do. I actually sit and I think who's probably going to be there Tuesday, and what questions I'm going to ask that person. I like to plan that one. And then the spontaneous being asked, from the host a question. Now I'm quite opinionated, So it gives me an opportunity to kind of think on my feet and not stammer and stutter too much and get out what I'm thinking. And I'm not very good oftentimes at being asked a question and coming back with a quick answer. So I find it really, well, it's a learning experience and it's a blast. I read it. It's my favorite. Absolutely favorite.
One of those things that
I volunteer for table topics because I just love it so much. But to answer the other question, I think that when we're part of an organization, I think anywhere really, even at work and stuff, when all those years ago, raising your hand and being part of the team, volunteering, just helping out. Somebody needs something done. It's okay if you're able to do it. Why not? Be the red apple in the group, and you don't have to be the rotten apple in the group, but the green one, just be the red one. Always be willing. You never know what comes up, even if you don't know what you're doing, which happens all the time to me. Because most of the time I don't know what I'm doing, but. It's sort of like, by the way, this podcast is kind of fun. I like this. I have to say something. I like to tell stories. Somebody once said, and I think it applies to life and in Toastmasters and everything else. Somebody once said about driving a car and getting lost. A fellow was driving in Chicago and he says, wow, you know your way on every single street, every corner, all the cul-de-sacs, the one-way streets. And he goes, how did you ever know that? I go into a town, I get lost. This guy answered back, he says, well, I used to get lost all the time, so I just kept going until I found my way. And I heard that years ago. And I thought, well, that kind of applies to a lot of things. So if you're just asked and you go, oh, okay, sometimes timidly even, okay. And then you just jump in and suddenly figure out it's not so scary. You don't get so lost. And the next time you're there to help somebody else, do the same thing. So that's probably it. It isn't like I'm willing. Oftentimes I'd rather just be quiet in the background, be on mute and picture not showing and just listen in. But it's the reality of it. It may be just my personality, but I like being part of it. And I like being part of other people's lives a little bit and listening to them and learning from them. So yeah, raise your hand and say yes. You get to find out all that stuff.
And we've gotten to know you quite well through Toastmasters, and we appreciate it. And we certainly enjoy you being part of the meetings. You always add something very special. Whether it's laughter, whether it's knowledge, you really always come in with something very valuable to the meetings. I haven't walked away from a Tuesday meeting where I haven't been happy to see you. So,
thank you.
Tamara, what would you say to somebody if they had the same fears that you had? There are a lot of people so introverted. How do you encourage them to become a Toastmaster?
There's a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt, and I don't know if I'm going to get it exactly correct, but she said, you grow and you learn every time you look fear in the face. You've got to do the things that you think you cannot do. And for me, that's what it's exactly about. 90% of people have a fear of public speaking. But what we have to realize, every time we speak, we're speaking to the public. We are public speaking. And doing it in front of a little bit bigger audience, it doesn't matter. You have to remember, everybody in that audience wants you to do well. They want you to have a good time when you're speaking to them, because if you're having a good time, they'll have a good time. And they want you to do well. You've got to do it. In one of the other people I read a lot is John Maxwell. And he said the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people, they both don't want to do the same things. I mean, nobody wants to do this tough stuff, but successful people do it anyways. And that's the difference. And I would encourage everybody just to come try it. You might have a little bit of a panic attack, but you're not going to die. And you have to make yourself do it if you're afraid. And the first time's the hardest, the second time's a little bit easier, and eventually you'll learn how to redirect those butterflies or kangaroos that you get in your stomach and use that energy to create a better speech, to help direct it towards something positive. And that's what you need to learn how to do. And for me, I still have a panic attack every time, but I use that as positive energy. I don't know. Just do it and lean on your mentor as hard as you can.
So what do you do, Craig, to push through any kind of fears or apprehensions that you may have as far as being a public speaker? How do you mentally prepare yourself, and has Toastmasters been able to help you do that?
Well, yes, Toastmasters has been able to help. It helps me organize my thoughts a bit. I'm kind of a last-minute speechwriter. I don't like to write out what I'm going to say a week early, because I may feel entirely different about something the day of the speech. So I generally write them in the hour up leading to, I just do an outline of what I'm going to say. I'm a little bit spontaneous that way. But Toastmasters, because of its format and teaching format, I'm able to structure a speech and get through it because I have an organization skill. So while I'm creating that speech in maybe the last hour before the meeting, the thought process is pretty much the same. How am I going to open this up? What am I going to say? Where am I trying to go? What point am I trying to get to? What story am I going to tell? And try to find that, that connection with the group. I happen to like to write, by the way. I've been a writer for a long time, and it's something I do every single day. It's a kind of hobby. I started out journaling, many years ago, 20 some years ago, and each and every day I journal at the end of the day. And it's grown into where it's become a habit, and it helps me write better. I was lucky as a kid. I had a great high school teacher all the way through high school that was a magnificent English teacher, and although I hated her those 4 years, I would love to see her again today and just hug her for the ability that I can write and structure sentences and paragraphs and such, because of Mrs. Brubaker. So I think Toastmasters has just added to that process of things that I already liked to do and helped organize my, organize my outline, as it will, of how I want to plan, this particular subject. It's gone deeper than that in some ways, because it also helps me organize, as I stated earlier, some of the events and projects that, I've taken on. My wife gives me heck all the time because I, joined Rotary, and I'm in Toastmasters. I'm on the HOA board, and I drive down to Vegas or somewhere and give a talk on a meeting, or for business, and I'm always doing something. And you take on too much. But what's happened because of Toastmasters is I've been able to do many of those things easier because of this last year that I've been in Toastmasters, and the skill set that I'm learning by listening and following the guidelines and structuring that is in place. And oddly enough, structure helps.
Where do you want to take Toastmasters into Rotary? What is this collaboration between the two groups going to look like?
Well, what I think goes back to my enthusiasm about the two groups being together. And one of the reasons I was so thrilled enough to join Toastmasters as a Rotarian. When I heard the two join together, I was familiar enough with Toastmasters. It made sense. As a Rotarian, internationally, we have 1.5 million members, and it's kind of grown stagnant. We have 1.5 million this year, we'll lose a few, and next year we'll have 1.5 million members. But we reach so many corners of the world and so many places, and we're constantly reaching out because we're service beyond self and our mission, and to do all the things we do, we need leaders in order to grow. We need to be able to grow. When those leaders come, the leaders have to know how to lead. And there's a great joy in doing these even smallest of projects. In Toastmasters, what I see, my observation from the outside, is a lot of people have been in Toastmasters oftentimes for quite a number of years and have reached great skill set level of being able to speak and communicate. But more people than not, in my belief, want to do more in their life. It's like, wow, I can really communicate well, I can talk a lot, but is there more? And as we get older, our careers change, and our outlook on life and our what matters to us individually changes. And pretty soon you do want to do more. And here's an opportunity with Rotary to step up and do more, and have the skill set to jump in and do it. So we, as Rotarians, at least my opinion is, we can grow Rotary by having great leaders, good leaders with skill sets coming from Toastmasters. And at the same time, we're providing something for Toastmasters that, individually, that are willing and wanting to grow in their own personal life to do more within, their own communities in the world, and want to feel more value and that they're succeeding and helping more. So I think the two are particularly a good marriage to grow. They're structured quite similarly in many ways. Two different missions, but together, I just thought it would be a great marriage. And I actually got really, really excited. I actually got more excited about Rotary because of it when the marriage happened than I was in a long time, and excited about becoming something new with Toastmasters.
Is there going to be kind of combined meetings?
Well, I don't have any combined meetings as such. Now, there are a few clubs around the country that have combined some meetings.
Okay.
It's still brand new. As new as it is for Toastmasters, it is for Rotarians as well. They're, learning, these things and wondering why did we join Toastmasters? We're Rotarians, especially some old timers. And I'm sure some old timers Toastmasters go like, well, why did we join Rotary? It's kind of whatever.
Yeah.
But
And
we're in a younger generation. Even me as an old guy, we're still in a younger generation. We're looking forward to doing things. And helping. I don't know how each of your lives, and those who are listening here, lives have changed over the years. But each decade, it seems like something changes, and we get more secure in ourselves, at least hopefully, more grounded, more. I don't worry about the things I used to worry about when I was younger. I don't worry about the things today that I worried about when I was 20 and 30 and 40. And I don't worry about money today. I don't worry about the bills today. I don't worry about what I'm going to eat today. I don't worry about those things really anymore. I've grown up enough, I've survived all that stuff. So now what do you do when you're not worrying as much? What can you do beyond that? And if you're doing something beyond yourself, the worries go away anyway, because you're not thinking about them anymore. So, and I think if Rotarians can teach that to Toastmasters, and Toastmaster skills can teach it to Rotarians, I think the two organizations can do incredible things around the world. We already do, but magnificent. There are so many projects in the world right now, and there's so much need for philanthropic service work. There's so much need for it. There's water out there that people don't have safe water around the world. There's Rotary is known for Polio Plus, for example, working with World Health Organization and eradicating polio around the world. That's our claim to fame. But because of that structure that Rotary had, in this world of pandemic, that right now we're poised in a position where we can vaccinate the world and help vaccinate everybody regarding COVID-19, and get into places and locations and tribes around the world where many organizations couldn't. So we need leadership to be able to get those things done. So I'm pretty passionate about the two organizations being together for what is possible. So, and what we've already built together separately, and bringing them together, that we can do.
How about you, Tamara? What is your vision for this relationship between Rotary and Toastmasters?
I was a Rotarian for more than 8 years until I transferred here to Mesquite. I just haven't got back into Rotary. And what I see is very much like Craig. We are both worldwide organizations with members all around the globe, with individuals who want to be leaders in their communities, in their business, in their families, in nonprofits, in politics. And we want to make a difference, whether it's one-on-one or in a larger organization. And by combining those two sets of leadership skills, we can make change in our own communities, in the world. Rotarians have made a huge difference. They helped to eradicate polio. And if we can bring leadership skills, it takes people with dynamic skills to make those types of changes. And some of us only have a little bit of skill, but when we partner with somebody that has a few more skills, whether it's communication or connecting with politicians or raising money, we can work together and make a huge change. It's just it's those little droplets that eventually make a cup full, that eventually make a gallon, eventually that make the ocean. It's all of us pulling together. And it's an exciting change. And it does take us all working together. And I see us working together, growing our skills together, and growing our membership together. I'm excited.
Wonderful. Craig, you had a comment on the end of the email that I sent you about not wanting to go out of this world kind of calm, but to slide into home base saying, wow, what a ride. Is that how you view life? I mean,
Yeah, I kind of do.
yeah.
I kind of do. I look at life as sort of like an e-ticket ride at Disneyland. You know, you get on that Matterhorn, you know, and you crawl, you're climbing up the top, and you're getting up to the top, and it's like, oh boy, I chug along, and you get there, and you're finally at the top, and then you come crashing down into that water, and you're screaming all the way, and your hands and legs are flailing all over the place, and you go, oh man, your heart's racing, and you're scared to death, and you go like, oh, can I go again? You know, and I really do think of it that way. I mean, we're filled with ups and downs. Everybody faces everything. Everybody walks the same yellow brick road. I mean, we all do. You know, everybody feels love. They all feel hurt. They all feel pain. They all feel sadness. They all feel despair. They all feel happiness and joy. We all feel the same. I don't care where we are in the world. We're all the same. We come at it from different paths. We do different things, but it's fun. At the end of the day, it's fun. We're here one time. We're here one time. You've got to have some fun with it and laugh about it. And some days you don't feel like laughing, but then later you got to look back and laugh at that day you didn't feel about laughing about. It's okay, and it's okay to cry too. You know, you know, I've said this in Toastmasters a couple of times. Probably a lot of people that know me. I believe when you go to a cemetery and you look at the tombstones, and you see somebody who was born in 1950, let's say, and they died in 1972, whatever it was. You know, it really doesn't matter what year they were born and what year they died. It's the dash in between. What did they do with their dash? What did you do with your dash?
I like that.
I do too.
And I really, from my core inside, feel that. What do we do with that dash? What do we want to be known for, not known for, whatever. But what do we do with our dash?
That is a beautiful, beautiful thought. It really is.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
How about you, Tamara? What's your outlook on life? Do you have a favorite quote or anything that embodies that?
Well, one of my favorite quotes was the one I shared from Eleanor Roosevelt. Is that, you know, you've got to look fear in the face and do the things that you think you cannot do. And I don't know when I really noticed that, but I try to do everything now. I've been all over the world. I've probably been to 25 different countries. I've been to probably 47 of the 50 states. I've parasailed, I've hang glide. I've done everything, and I make a list, and if I think I want to do it, I just do it now. I used to worry about, oh, am I going to have enough money? Am I going to have the right outfit? I don't worry about that anymore. I just do it. And one of the things I wanted to do, and sometimes I don't do it right, I'll share with you. I wanted to go see the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum in Santa Fe. I told my husband, I looked it up. I said, we're going to go do this weekend. And we got in the car and we drove there. Oh, I didn't think about the pandemic. You had to have reserved seating. So, but I was there, and we'll go back. I'll go in next time. But you just got to do it. It doesn't matter. And I love that thought of what did you do with your dash? And now that as I get a little more mature, it's more important to give back. And being a Rotarian, being a Toastmaster is my way of giving back. So I do appreciate that.
You know, the very famous comedian, movie star, passed away a few years ago, Jerry Lewis. Many of us know who he is, or was. In an interview on, I think with A&E Network, 15 years ago or so, 20 years ago, I heard him say something that has always kind of stuck with me. He was asked very simply, why did he continue doing this muscular dystrophy thing after all these years? I mean, he was committed to it just all the time. He was there, ups, downs, whatever was going on. And he said something that kind of has always resonated with me. He simply said that when you're giving of yourself and you're giving and helping others, it's really not unselfish at all. It's the most selfish act you can ever do because of the joy and the peace that you get from it. It's beyond anything else, anything money could ever buy. And as you listen to that and you think about it for a second, how true that is, and those few experiences, one or two or few or dozen that we have in our life, where you experience that and you think about it at that scale, yeah, it is an extremely selfish act to get that joy.
I never personally believed in the idea of altruistic love, because when you give freely, like you said, you always get something in return, whether it is a good feeling for yourself or, self-fulfillment of some kind. So is there really, I've always questioned, is there really true altruism? Does it exist? But what about you, Tamara? What do you think?
Oh, I do believe, I love mentoring, and for me, it brings me so much joy when I see somebody else grow. That I get a kick out of it. I absolutely get a kick out of it, and helping raise money for scholarships, and going out and delivering those scholarships to people who don't think they could ever go to college, and you see the glow on their face. It gives you a kick. It's inspirational, and it changes who you are inside, and it makes you greedy for more. It does. And that's one of my favorite things, is just, whether it was in my career helping young people develop their careers, or in Toastmasters helping, people coming into the program, and just coaching them on speeches, and making a difference. It gives you a kick. And I'm going to say, yeah, it's pretty great.
Wonderful. We're going to put some information down in the comments section below after the show about where we can contact each of you for any type of membership.
Absolutely.
Club International, Toastmasters International. One thing we did talk about is the Toastmasters club fees. We did not talk about Rotary club fees. Craig, would you like to give us a little bit of an idea about what it entails?
Yeah, it's quite a bit different than Toastmasters. First of all, the individual clubs set their own membership fees for the clubs. We do have an international organization. Part of those club fees go to pay that. But depending on the size of the club, what structure it is, it can range from, I think on the low side where we are in our two clubs here, we are approximately $350 a year for membership for our club, a little bit higher on the Noon Club, to particularly if you went to Las Vegas for Las Vegas One Club, which is the largest club in Nevada. They've been around for 100 years now. They're about $1,000 a year. Clubs in Beverly Hills might be different. Maybe they're different in Mumbai. I don't know. It kind of is dictated by the club's charter, the demographics, what people are willing to do, and I'm I don't feel that there's really that big a deal on what the fees are. Most of the money that we give in fees isn't to raise money for the club, but to raise money that goes to various projects and scholarships and so many other things, Paul Harris Foundation and Rotary Foundation and such. We have kind of a reputation, I think, undeserving in Rotary, at least when I first got involved many years ago. It was kind of like people thought it was kind of an elitist club because it cost a little more and because you have business leaders. We do have a lot of people that are business leaders, business owners, politicians, a lot of people in Rotary, significant success levels. We have a lot of people just like us here on this radio show today that aren't particularly wealthy people, but they're Rotarians. So the fee structure varies. To answer your question, it's not for everybody, but it's not impossible to reach. It's not our membership fees aren't out of reach for those that want to do it. You know.
Some people spend that on a week's gambling here in Mesquite.
Well, you think about it, I can go out fill up my SUV and it's almost $100 bill. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's 300. I mean, that's just it. I mean, we put it in that kind of perspective. You know, it's
a matter of priorities. It really, everything's a matter of priorities.
People go to church every single week, and some give 10% of their money to the church, or they put something in the basket, and they don't think twice about it. And nobody ever asks them, well, what's it cost to go to church? You know, and they're doing good works when they are. And that's kind of how we feel with Rotary. It's the same thing.
And Rotary, again, is a wonderful organization. I can't say enough good. I've been covering Rotary for 10 years at least, and most of my writings have actually been about covering Rotary projects. So it kept me very busy and well paid in the newspaper.
I want to go see the latest one. The two clubs just finished. Go over by the Mesquite Recreation Club over there, and there's some new batting cages there.
You just got the dedication on Saturday morning.
Yeah. Join together and put those up. There is a tribute there as well as to our president of our noon club who passed away of COVID-19 this last year.
But
it might be we were all dedicating it this weekend, on Saturdays. But that's one of the latest projects, and you'll see around town these little concrete benches that have Rotary on them. Those are done by our clubs too, and we call them buddy benches, where maybe a kid by himself or somebody by themselves that could go sit on the bench, and maybe a friend will come and talk to them. You see them along some of the walkways and such around town, and that's part of us as well.
I actually love the buddy benches a lot, but my favorite is the Beaver Dam Beautification Project, because I can sit out on my front porch and I see what you guys are doing. I'm that close to Beaver Dam High School. So I've seen the progress, and I do see the definite improvements in looking at that particular view of, from my front porch. So thank you very much for what you've done there. And Tamara, I've got to tell you, joining Toastmasters has been a wonderful experience for me. It's definitely helped me prepare to do these podcasts.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And we are out of time, so I'm going to thank you both so much. Unless there's anything that you want to say and like some final comments, you're welcome to them. We have a couple more minutes, but
just if you're interested in visiting Toastmasters meeting, just go to mesquitetoastmasters.com and you'll find our meeting. The Zoom link is there. We'll continue doing Zoom until we get clearance from Toastmasters International to go back to in-person meetings, and then we'll be meeting at Scotty's again up at is it Falcon Ridge Golf Course.
Okay, I did notice that before I joined, I was invited as a guest the first time. Is there the ability for somebody to come and check out your meetings without making a commitment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Come on down. We love guests. And it doesn't matter whether it's Rotary or Toastmasters. Both groups doors are wide open.
Wonderful.
And similarly on Rotary, You can go to Facebook pages and look at just type in Mesquite, Rotary Clubs of Mesquite, Nevada. You'll see the information from both clubs. Our noon club is still meeting live on Tuesdays at the library. It's still with reservations. And our club, like Toastmasters, has been on Zoom, and anybody can reach out and attend our meeting. We have a lot of visitors that pop in from all over the country into this town and who are Rotarians and visit our meetings. We'd love to have you. Periodically throughout the year, as the year unfolds, we'll probably start meeting live again from time to time. But we're much like Toastmasters. It's pretty well dictated from our international leadership guidelines for what to do with COVID.
Oh, I'm sure we're all looking forward to the days when we can meet in person again. I know that.
In-person hugs.
But yeah, it's nice. But I got to say, the Zoom meetings have been really convenient because, I grab my cup of coffee and be in my pajamas.
Frankly, I love them. I think they're great.
I do too. I really enjoyed them. So thank you so much, both of you, for being on the show today. I absolutely appreciate it. And I'll see you both tomorrow morning.
Okay.
See you, Terry. See you, Craig.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
And you'll post everything for us.
I will post everything. It'll be in the comment section after the show's processed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.